Hello and welcome to Fun with Floral Art. I'm Laura. Today I'm going to be making a hedge arrangement. So I have my container here ready to go. So for this kind of an arrangement you need a long container around about the size of a tissue box or a house brick, that sort of container. You need a reasonable width because we're going to be putting our material along the sides, and you do need a reasonable length as well, otherwise the arrangement won't really have much impact. So this container is wood, and I've painted it, so that's obviously not waterproof, so I've lined it with plastic, so now it is waterproof, and I've put my floral foam in there and it's wet and ready to go. So today, for this arrangement, you need tall, straight materials. So I'm going to be using some agapanthus stems that I've cut. I've got some fennel. I've got some nice little red leucadendrons. Got a little bit of variegated foliage as a bit of a filler, and I've got two different shades of roses, this sort of lovely peach colour that's opened up nicely, and this nice sunny yellow one. I've also got some red leaves as well that I'll be using. So I'll start from the back and work my way forward. So the tallest material that I've got is these agapanthus sticks. This one does have a little bit of a bend to it, so I'll pick one that's a bit straighter. Give it a fresh cut. So I'll start from one corner. If you do have something that does have a bit of a bend to it, so I wouldn't really be able to put that in like that, it's not going to look right, or like that either. That's not the effect that I'm trying to get, and plus it leads your eye out of the arrangement. But if I was to place it like that, then you don't really notice that it has so much of a bend. So it's easier to measure a few once you've got that height, rather than have to measure each one as you go. So I'm giving them a nice diagonal cut, and the same along the bottom. Gives you a bit of extra surface area for them to have a drink, and it also is much easier to insert the material. So I want these to be more or less equal distance. So in order to do that, I find it easier to start from each end and work my way into the middle. Because if you start from one end, you might end up with irregular spacing. They don't have to be all exactly the same length. And fill in the gaps. You'll need these ones that have got a bit of a curve. So there we go, that's the first layer done, and from the side you can see what it looks like. So for the next layer I've got this fennel. I like to use material for this kind of arrangement where you can see through from one layer to the next. And this has that nice sort of feathery look about it. You could use something else like Queen Anne's lace, or a bit of misty or gypsophila. So this is around about the height that I'm after. If you've got something that has quite a large head, rather than put them in a straight row, you could just vary the placement. So I'll turn it around. Turntable is a very handy thing to have. Just need about 2 more. If you don't have a lot of material, this is a good arrangement because it still has quite a lot of impact even if you only have 5 or 6 of something. And these are quite fun to do, these arrangements. So from the side, there's my second row, and you can quite easily see through from one layer to the other. So it's a good use of negative space as well in this kind of arrangement. So next I'll move on to the leucadendrons, which have got a really nice red tinge to them. You can use one material a couple of times in an arrangement like this. So I've got 5 of these that are a reasonable length. So if I cut them all to the same length and give them a bit of a new diagonal cut. Leucadendrons are perfect for this kind of an arrangement. They're nice and strong. They last a long time. And of course you do need to use material that's got around about the same lifespan. And these arrangements are quite quick to do as well. So there's the next layer. So that's bringing a bit of colour in now with the red, but it also has the green. So I'll use some of the yellow roses next. It's very warm here at the moment, so they have opened up quite a lot. And they've also got some very healthy spikes on them. This one has 2, so that's going to be easy. I need to be quite a bit shorter than this. So to work out my height, sometimes it's easier to measure it like this. So I'll need it around about that one and a little bit of extra to insert in the foam. And then measure the other one from that one. So each layer just sits in a little bit lower than the one before. You really need the leaves. Beware of spikes. Need to measure one more. It's introducing another colour now. But overall it's a warm colour scheme. So none of the material extends really past the side of the containers that you're using. So it's like a parallel design. Next Next I'll use a little bit of this foliage, and that will give a good bit of coverage at the front there. And this colour ties in with the green and the yellow. Maybe one more on the side there to cover the sides of the container there. So I think there's just room for one more row down the front. I could use these leucadendrons again to tie it together, or I could use these roses right down the front. So rather than putting the front layer up, I'm going to need to angle it in so as to just cover the front of the container right there. These roses have some pretty fearsome spikes. They're a lovely colour. I think just one more rose for the front row. And that'll be just about full. So that's what it looks like from the side. If you've got material that's fairly heavy, you don't want it to tip forwards, so you could put your back row leaning back a little bit, but this container is pretty solid, so that's not really going to be too much of an issue there. I'll just turn this row so it's facing back in a bit more. So there we have our hedge arrangement. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different rows or layers of material. With a nice warm colour scheme. Some arrangements can be a little bit difficult to keep watered, so I tend to use a spray bottle, and that's useful for arrangements like this, that it's a bit difficult to pour water into because it's not like a vase arrangement. Or something like a wreath is ideal to use a little bit of a spray bottle to keep it hydrated. So there we go, that's our hedge arrangement. Reminds me a little bit of a cottage garden. So I hope you've enjoyed fun with floral art today, and join me again for another fun arrangement. Thank you.